right, hello, Idiots on Parade, the Too Ugly for TV podcast. We mock the news so you don't have to. With me, as always, I'm Nathan Timmel. With me, as always, is Jake Vevra, stand-up comedian in New York City. Hello, Jake.
How's it going?
All is well here. With us today is my good friend Gerry, comedian in Wisconsin, but I don't know exactly where. Delafield, Okauchee, Wauwatosa. I know your general area, but not your specific. Do you want to give people a chance to dox you and come find you and hunt you down?
Yeah, I am in Delafield, but like you, I was born in Madison. So yeah, I'm from the around this area, but yeah, we're in Delafield.
You remained in Wisconsin. I was born in Madison and moved away many times. All right. Gerry, going to put you on hold just for half a second because we forgot to get to this last week. We had a viewer comment that I promised to address, and then we just ran out of time.
I forgot what the comment is, so I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. It's
well,
been so
here
long.
we go. It's addressed to me, but I'm assuming, Jake, it goes to both of us. What do you actually believe happened on January 6th, Nathan? Surely after the release of the CCTV footage Pelosi tried to hide, you still don't think it was an insurrection. If it was pretty pathetic. If Republican voters wanted to, they would have. What's your opinion on the months of rioting, BLM and Antifa riots that caused billions in damages and multiple deaths? How about the Portland courthouse and on and on and on? Here, first of all, this to me sounds like someone that watches one part of one video or just one video and thinks they have us encapsulated. Because, Jake, we've talked about Portland. We've made fun of it numerous times. We've made fun of Antifa. We have said, as far as January 6th goes, anybody on the lawn, fine, you were holding your sign, we love Trump. That's good. Anybody that busted into the building, and we said this about the student protesters the other week, if you're out camping in tents, great. The instant you bust into the dean's office, the instant you bust into any building, that's where you get arrested. So don't think because we are factually correct in saying Trump was a fuck up, his followers that did this on January 6th are idiots, means that somehow the student protesters or Antifa gets a pass. Just because you in your own little echo chamber says, well, Antifa sucks, but, January 6th, they were just protesting what they believed. Yeah, you can protest. Just don't go fucking busting down walls and putting your feet on desks. I mean, protest is your right.
I agree with what the guy said, man. I'll sign off on the second part. It was an insurrection and a pathetic one. It really did just barely meet the qualifications for an insurrection. And I'll tell you the reason why. Was it well planned? No, it wasn't really planned. It was just kind of like half-assed done. But to his point about what about BLM, what about Antifa, stuff like that. Now, did the media on the left absolutely fucking ignore any kind of rioting whatsoever? Yes, they did. But
or they tried to couch it in justification. Well, you have to understand that BLM is marching for human rights. Okay, you don't get to play, and the media does do that.
Yeah, right. But if the guys at January 6th had pulled that shit at a Walgreens and not the capital of the United States while they were trying to certify an election, we could have the conversation about what about when BLM did it. Because it's like, hey, man, was there a lot of shit that got ignored during the BLM protests by the left? Absolutely. They were at like shoe stores and shit. Like this was at the Capitol. That's why it's a little bit more of a big deal. That's why it's called an insurrection and not a riot. See, if you do it where all the Congress people are doing their Congressy things, then it's a little bit bigger deal than at a Trader Joe's or some shit like that.
And I like what you just said, and I will go one further and just to point out to the commenter, don't lump us in with those cunts that at the news media. So we're different cunts from those cunts.
Yes. It was an insurrection, while a pathetic one. It was the only more pathetic insurrection is the insurrection in my pants.
Gerry, do you want to jump in now that we've addressed do you have any thoughts? We don't talk about January 6th.
My dog's
often,
being a twat.
I just think that there's just so much misinformation about things that it's impossible to sift through it all and give give people much to talk about that they can actually agree on. The media on both sides is just so polarized. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's not even misinformation. It's targeted information. The MSNBC says what they want to say. Fox says what they want to say. And then the followers than fight it out and believe that everybody on the other side is in the wrong, instead of there's probably, I think someone said 90% of shit we all agree upon, and then we fight over the 10% we don't agree upon. All right, let's jump into this week's news stories. Oh boy, this one I threw at you last minute because it just popped up and I love it. Jake and I talked about it last week. Chiefs Butker has no regrets about expressing his beliefs during recent commencement speech. He gave another speech, double down on what he already said. And did anybody think it was going to be anything otherwise? Like he was going to sit down and go, wow, a bunch of people online called me an asshole. I should really rethink what I've believed my whole life. That's not how the internet works. He said it. He believed it. You can disagree with it. Jake and I disagree with it. It was pretty sexist, homophobic, backwards thinking. But you know, he said it at a Catholic university. Did anybody expect him to suddenly have an awakening and go, holy shit? You know, I come. Of course not. And when this shit like this becomes a story,
I took mushrooms and I'm a Buddhist now.
Exactly. And my favorite part, we didn't talk about this last week, is I forgot to say, when you start these culture wars, Harrison Butker's a complete piece of shit. Fuck him. Of course, his jersey became the #1 selling jersey because people that like him are going to go out and buy it. So if you hear something you don't like, hey, here's an idea. Fucking ignore it. Say, oh, wow, he's got an opinion that's different than mine. There you go. Now you're just drawing more lines.
I want to compare this guy's jersey sales to the second highest jersey sales of a kicker ever. I mean, it's got to be a massive drop off, right? I would be willing to bet that the second highest selling jersey for a kicker was Finkel Miami Dolphins off of the fake kicker on the Jim Carrey movie Ace Ventura. I think a fake kicker takes second place, and after that there's an even bigger drop off, and then third place is the actual second place real kicker in terms of jersey sales.
I'll go even further.
7 jerseys.
Do kickers even usually get their own jersey? Like, does every player get a jersey? Don't they usually just like, well, we're not going to print up 50 jerseys for the punter? Usually, I've not looked into it, but I don't know if every player on a team gets their own jersey because they know some aren't going to sell.
Are you saying that like the kickers just have the number 0 and it just says kicker on the back of their jersey and they pass it on and it doesn't even match the new team's uniform? They have some like shit from the 70s. They still have like the creamsicle colored Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey and everybody else is out there with the new stuff.
I'm saying if they don't, they should. Jerry, what do you think?
Yeah, I think more people go to those pro shops and ask for their own name to be put on and make sure that, you know, that they have that over a kicker or a punter every time. I don't even think they put those on until the request is made.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if they probably got swamped. They probably kind of like after a Super Bowl playoff or the Super Bowl, all the losing teams go to Haiti. Whatever amount of Butker shirts they had, they suddenly went, oh shit, now we need more. We had 10 sitting around because nobody's ever bought one. Now those
bastards are going over there to Haley like, hey, I need that shirt back. I know you guys are hard up, but can I trade you some paper towels for it? Just something you need, something we got on the bus here.
Yeah, it was just so weird. I mean, don't you think the university, I mean, did a little homework and they knew what they were getting when they asked him to give the commencement? It's not like they asked Stephen Colbert, who's a completely different Catholic than this guy. I mean, it was pretty obvious to me that they knew what they were getting.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of what we were saying last week. Is I disagree with everything the man said from the beginning of the speech, where he probably said something like, "Hey, there's a real God out there, right?" I'm off board there. You know what I mean? Like he didn't even need to get to sexism and homophobia. He'd be like, "Hey, it's good to give your money to Catholic organizations. They don't do any fucking weird things to kids and then transfer each other around or nothing like that." I'm off of this guy's Catholic boat. Before he could have said a bunch of progressive shit after that. And I would have been like, nah, I'm still disagreeing with this man. But he did say it in a conservative Catholic university, and it's probably not that different from shit that the teachers say in front of lecture halls full of people and then give them degrees that they go out in the world and get jobs with. So my only opinion, my only care in terms of like whose opinion I want on this, it's got nothing to do with the NFL. Nothing. And I know that people make the comparisons to Kaepernick. That was fucked up too. You know, like I don't think Kaepernick should have been booted out of the league, but I don't think this is a meritocracy, the NFL. Like we're getting this guy's kicking abilities for this money, not his opinions. If he was like a talk show guy, like a former NFL guy that's on a talk show, it's a little bit different than like no one's I cannot name you a single other kicker. Like I can't do it. So I
love the Packers. I can't even name the kicker for the Packers right now off the top of my head. That's my goddamn team.
Right.
You love Detroit. Can you name the Lions kicker?
Fuck no. I was going to say Ray Finkel again, but again, that's the fake kicker from the 90s comedy. That's the only other kicker
our guy because he missed so many fucking field goals. He cost us a few games. So I was angry at him last season.
Sure.
Yeah. I know he's got a brother in the league that's better than he is, but I can't think of his name either.
Really?
Yeah. Jake, I will grant you this. The nuns did come out and denounce his comments and say they didn't agree with it. The nuns at the university. I didn't send you the link, but I thought that was pretty interesting that actual nuns came out and said, sure, we've given up our rights and wear this penguin outfit, but girls, go do your thing.
Well, the thing is Catholics in America are kind of divided politically. It's not like evangelicals or something. It's you do have fairly liberal Catholics, so that does make sense. You know what I mean? Especially with things like immigration. It's a lot tougher to push like the really, really anti-immigrant rhetoric that, people like Trump do to people like Catholics who belong to a global church that is run by a South American man. It's harder to push the whole, they're sending us murderers and rapists, and the voice of the one true God that we pray to. But like it's a tougher sell for those guys. So you're going to have a lot more like liberal Catholics than, let's say, liberal Baptists or something like that. And so it's not surprising that there'd be some pushback. That's why I'm saying I'm genuinely interested in what that school has to say, because there are liberal Catholics, there are conservative Catholics, and it's kind of interesting to see where they come down on stuff like this. But I think as long as he's keeping it that kind of talk in the religious culty schools, I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? If I was, I probably said something along these lines last week, but if I send my son to a public school and some guy goes there talking about how the kids are all going to burn in hell because they ate the wrong kind of breakfast sandwich and the deity that created the universe doesn't like that type of meat, I'm going to be annoyed. You know what I mean? But like if a video comes out of that same guy saying it at the Jewish school down the street, that's his fucking prerogative, man. Let him say what he wants there. I don't give a shit. It's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah. All right. Next story. Do either of you remember, this is kissing cousins, but you remember when Tucker Carlson was being sued? I don't remember for what. All I remember is that Fox News defended Tucker Carlson. This is when he was an employee of Fox. This wasn't about the Dominion machines. This is before that. And Fox's defense of broadcasting Tucker Carlson was, nobody should take him seriously. What he says is so absurd that only stupid people would believe him. And they won. They actually won on the defense, whatever he was being sued for. I don't remember the specifics. Anyone can Google it. This story absolutely reminded me of that. They are using the argument of American Airlines blames girl, nine-year-old girl who quote, should have known flight attendant planted cameras in the bathroom. A 9-year-old girl should have known there was a camera hidden under the toilet seat by an American Airlines flight attendant. The airline's lawyers said in court filing. So the airline, they're suing the airline, and the airline's defense is, well, of course our flight attendants hide cameras in the bathroom. This little girl discovered. I mean, holy fuck.
If you were on enough cocaine to be a flight attendant, you'd do it too.
I mean, my God bless lawyers for even dreaming this up. Who wakes up and says, we need an angle on how to defend our airline from this lawsuit? Ooh, I've got it. If you're using the bathroom, you should just expect to have zero privacy. That takes balls. God bless this lawyer for being able to do it. If there is a hell, he's going to die and go there. But I mean, to be able to do that, to be able to file those papers, to say that with a straight face, I couldn't do it. I salute anybody that could. Gerry, go first.
Yeah, I know that, after that was raised, they backpedaled, or they they said that wasn't actually our representation. That was the insurance company or something that they represented.
Oh, that's even better.
I would expect an insurance company to say something like that. I'm not going to lie. That seems on board for those guys, or on brand, I should say.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough thing. I mean, the airline is like, we have an asshole working for us, and he did some horrific thing, and now we're going to get sued for it. We've fired him. He's getting prosecuted, and yet we're still on the hook, and we're going to probably have to pay millions because we hired an asshole, and we had no way of knowing until it happened that this was going on. But yeah, they definitely handled it wrong.
Yeah, this to me had nothing to do with the airlines. You know what I mean? This was like a fucked up, like if somebody spits on your burger at McDonald's, to me, like, we're a few rungs down from the CEO and the board of directors. You know what I mean? Like, just fire Chris. Like, he was the guy that did it. Just give I should get millions because Ronald McDonald himself. No, it wasn't Ronald McDonald. It was Chris. He is a 19-year-old meth addict making minimum wage. That has nothing to do with the CEO, unless the CEO hires a lawyer, like a time traveler from the fucking Madman days. You know what I mean? And they just get him out of the time machine, and they're just like, "Hey, time traveling lawyer, Winthrop or whatever your name is. What do you think we should say in court?" He just takes a drag off his cigarette indoors, and he's like, "I think we should blame it on the 9-year-old. See, man." Little slut should have known that she was being filmed. Man, what was she wearing? I bet she was asking for it. Hello Kitty backpack. Nah, it's her fault. Put that in the court papers there. That shit worked back in 1961. I got 7 airlines off with that. No pun intended. I got them off for filming people in the bathroom with this same argument. Just do it again. See, man.
I agree 100%. I would say the correct approach would be, holy shit, we have this pervert working for us. He's been fired. We're going to do everything possible to provide evidence and support so that he goes to jail for a long time. And you know what? It was an individual asshole working for us. It's not our company policy. It's like going to what Jake said. It's not company policy. Hey, stewardesses, dude stewardess, put your phone in the bathroom. But still, our bad. It's horrible. Here's here's $10,000. You know, we fucked up. We didn't catch this sooner. We didn't have. You offer a little settlement. Do they deserve millions? No. Is it fucked up what happened to them? Absolutely. I just don't get the idea of the entire airline being at fault. This goes back to, we had this argument when Starbucks got sued for the manager. Remember that kicked a couple Black Americans out, and they had to have retraining and sue Starbucks. It's like, no, that was one manager at a location in Philadelphia, and they fired that manager. It wasn't company policy and even if it was company policy to say that non-customers, not customers, any specific, but everybody always goes straight to the, ooh, how much can I cash in? What happened to that girl in that family is wrong. Not sure anybody should just go after the money for it. Like, ooh, this is company policy. It's not.
It wasn't on the airlines until they blamed the 9-year-old.
Yes.
Now it's totally on the airlines, and I hope they settle out of court for $1 trillion goddamn dollars. Fuck them. That does seem like an insurance company move, though. I'm glad you pointed out there was insurance. I could definitely see an insurance agent go like, we have to pay out. No, fuck that. It was that 9-year-old's fault. She shouldn't have been shaking her ass like that in front of the camera. What are you doing?
Yeah, there's a difference between an insurance company saying, all right, let's get this straight. You built in a floodplain and your house got flooded. Of course, they also, if they take out the insurance now, oh, your house is in a floodplain. Yeah, we'll insure it. But still, they find ways around anything.
I see the dream catcher on your wall. You were doing a rain dance. You don't fool me. You caused the flooding. Whore. Look at how you were dressed. That's rain dance outfit.
But still, back to my original point. The person that thought that up, I mean, I don't know whose mind is so twisted to think that way, but holy fuck, did they get into the right industry? Because I don't think any person with a soul or even an ounce of self-respect would say, all right, hear me out. We're going after the kids.
Yeah. 9-year-olds have been letting themselves get filmed in the bathroom of airplanes for too long. And we can't stand by as they keep Yeah, yeah. It's entrapment, little girl. It's entrapment.
All right, next story. I, Jerry, what'd you want to be when you grew up?
Probably a baseball player.
Yeah, Jake,
Like
what
every
about
kid.
you?
I wanted to settle out of court with the airlines for getting filmed in the bathroom when I was 9 for about $1 billion. And then I realized by my high school year, it probably was going to happen because no one really cares about a teenage drug addict being filmed going to the bathroom anymore. That's just par for the course. So, yeah, it was about my ambitions right there. Yeah.
Fair enough. What
What about
I
you,
want to
Nate?
know is who, as a child, ever dreams, you know what? I want to be a scientist. I want to study the human body and then find tiny plastic shards in human testicles. Plastic human testicles contain microplastics and nanoplastics at levels 3 times higher than animal testes and human placentas, a new study found. They were cutting into cadavers. And okay, I obviously agree that it's good that we have this information, I guess. But much like the guy who sits down and says, all right, hear me out, we're blaming the kid, who is sitting down and saying, all right, we've got these cadavers, let's cut them open, check the testicles for microplastics and nanoplastics. I don't know who dreams that up, but goddamn, someone did. And now we know that we have microplastics in our balls.
Yeah, who'd have
That's
thunk it
good,
then?
man. I want microplastics in my balls. It gives my sperm something to do in there. You know what I mean? Like they were getting bored. Now they got them up and they're using them as like little punching bags, little swimming exercise equipment. That's why the hell I was able to conceive so easy. See, was because there was the microplastics in there for my sperm to train with, and they're better sperm for it. I say, you ever see most workout equipment, especially most fight training equipment, made out of plastic? And my sperms are little geniuses. They took those plastic and they made lemonade with them.
We've said this before. My kids needed to happen using in vitro fertilization because my sperm don't swim well. I guess I needed more microplastics in my
Yeah, you
testes.
should have just waited till there was more plastic in your nuts. That's
Yep.
all you need right there.
Maybe you
Jerry,
needed more plastic because, when you put something in the refrigerator and you just set it there, it goes bad. But if you put it in some plastic, it stays
Boom,
good, right? There you go.
boom, boom.
fucking
Kept them sperm
genius.
good. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, my sperm stayed ripe for decades, is what happened.
Here's my favorite part of the article. Here we go. Ready? The new study tested, I like how that word tested and testes. The new study tested 23 preserved testes from cadavers who were ages 16 to 88 at the time of their death, then compared the levels of 12 different types of plastic in those testicles with plastics found in 47 dog testes. So we're not alone in this. They're cutting up human balls and animal balls and running these are comparative tests between dog testicles and human testicles, and we're winning. So take that, Animal Kingdom. Nature will find a way. Jurassic Park. Yeah,
That's
Mother
right.
Nature. We're humans are winning. We got more testes in our balls.
That's right. And who do we have
More
to
testes
thank
in our
for
balls.
it?
Plastic in our testes.
We have to thank for it the testers. That's right, the testers. The kids who grew up saying, I'm going to be a tester when that grows up. You mean you're going to check the tests in schools? No. I'm testing the testes. That's what the hell I'm doing. I'm hocking them open. I'm hacking them open to see what the hell's in there.
I can't find it now because I was scrolling past, but I did see a thing that said, I found the second part. This is an eyes wide open situation now, but I did find a sentence that said, we need immediate action. It's a hair on fire sentence saying, oh my God, we must, do something about the plastic in testicles now. Like we're on the cusp of global climate change where we pass the point of no return and our planet overheats and we all die. There was a line in there about that, like, wow, we're going past the point of no return with, plastic and testicles. I don't see it again, but I did the eyes wide open, like, oh my God, we must act.
Yeah. Again, it clearly worked for mine. And my first kid, we conceived him at the time when my wife technically did test positive for COVID. I didn't even test positive for COVID. If anything, the plastic in my testes kept me from getting COVID-19 and made me more virile. So Thank you, microplasties.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather have microplasties in my balls than a micro penis on top of them. I'll tell you that right now. Glass is half full here.
I can't top that. That should be the sentence we sign off on that article with. All right. Next story. Years, well, months, couple of years last year, I made the statement that it was when Britney Spears was fighting her conservatorship. She was saying, I demand to be free. There were protests, free Britney, people with too much time on their hands out protesting in front of courthouses. And I made the statement, Jake. I went on record and said, we read an article where she called 911. She called the emergency 911. What is your emergency? And said, I need help getting out of my conservatorship. And my point was, if you are dumb enough to call 911 to ask for help on a legal matter like this, you probably need to be put under a conservatorship. Well, now we are finding out that Britney Spears chased her ex-husband Sam Ashgari with an axe during the last straw fight they had. I think we are leaning more and more toward, with her knife dancing and her videos and anything she
really is becoming a female Jack Torrance from The Shining. This is fucking wild, dude. All work and no conservatorship makes Britney a dull girl.
Something like that. I mean, she probably could use the help. I did read another story a while ago. I didn't send it to her but that she's blowing through her money because now that she has no one looking over, she's like, I want to fly to Maui and Bali. Well, Maui's not that exotic, but Bali. And, she's going places on private jets and they're saying, you're not performing anymore. And, record sales aren't what they used to be for anyone. All the money comes from live performances and you don't feel like doing the Vegas thing anymore. So, I don't know.
I didn't realize she wasn't doing the Vegas thing anymore.
No, I read her book. It's really bad. I think I said this. Her book is so bad. I think she actually wrote it herself. Like, didn't even get a ghostwriter because a ghostwriter would have punched it up, made it tight, made some of the sentences interesting.
That's right.
Her book is so boring. I think she wrote it. But in there, she did talk about.
Who would have hired a ghostwriter? Her dad, the conservator.
See, another point. But yeah, I don't know. I think all the evidence is pointing to we're going to find her like Antonio Brown, who just filed this past week for bankruptcy after making $80 million in the NFL. What part of the story said he owed like $236 to a plumber or something that he couldn't pay. That was part of the bankruptcy. You make $80 million. I worry that Britney's going to be there in a few years. Chris Pratt made the news this week, said his first $75,000 paycheck for being in movies or television, he blew through thinking, yeah, I'm going to be rich now. And then he didn't get another acting gig for quite a while. He was like, oh, shit, you get all this money, you think it lasts forever, and it just don't.
No, MC Hammer went through all his money too, and right for bankruptcy, it's not a pipeline. It's a moment in time.
He's the poster child. MC Hammer is the poster child for this. The problem is that Antonio, Britney, and they're all too young to know who he is or remember that in the news.
Yeah, it's sad.
But she's,
she definitely needed to have somebody managing her stuff for her. And they vilified the dad because, and he probably did take more money than he was supposed to or
I think the dad's an asshole from what I read. A boring book.
Oh, yeah. He's a dick for sure.
But I mean, she's like, there's no guardrails now. It's just like, it's just terrible.
She's kind of like a Catholic girl that, has been, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And when they, hit 18, they, I've done a couple things with Catholic girls that were, they go a little cray cray when the,
and then their dads found out about it and put them in conservatorships. But I mean, in all seriousness though, she should get to blow through all of her money and chase people with axes. She's rich and famous. That's what everybody else does who's rich and famous. She should get to too, man. This is a fucking thing about like, well, he was managing the money better. Therefore, she should have basically had no freedom. Well, yeah, man, I could say that about a lot of celebrities who weren't forced to live in their dad's attic for 13 years or whatever. I mean, P. Diddy seems like he could have used a conservatorship. No one's floated the idea around of making P. Diddy live in Britney Spears' dad's attic.
He probably could have done better by it. He wouldn't have had so many rape parties with it.
It's true, man. I didn't, you know, I'm blown away by the guy who held on to the hotel footage. Yeah, there had to have been some security guard who knew that was there and was like, but I'm being paid not to show anybody the shit. So what are you gonna do, man? He would get drunk and show his friends at parties every now and then. Like, look, this is part of an ongoing court case, or it's been settled, or whatever. My boss's bosses sold it to lawyers, so I can't. But look at this. Look at this.
See, this is a good reason why you never take your wife to one of those axe throwing places, because if she knew how to throw it, I mean, who knows what would have happened, right?
That
That's right.
is a solid goddamn point.
That guy is really regretting taking Britney Spears there for one of their first dates. You know what I mean? It just trained her. It made her good with an axe. Made her
Are they
competent.
still in business? Because I know they exploded. Like they're one of those things that just expanded so fast. It's something you do once and then you're done. My wife and I went and did it. It's not something we're like, oh, we should do that next month or next year or ever again. It was like, that was fine. I don't. If there's no repeat business, or there shouldn't be, because it was
like
fine.
beaver
I'm not
pelts back
shitting
in
on
the
it.
day.
It's just not something you ever feel the need to do a second time.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks fun. You know what I mean? But
It's
yeah,
fine.
I never got around to doing it, but yeah,
Yeah,
you
not
know.
missing much. All right, 3 stories left. Won't have time for all of them. Let's hit something big. Israel furious as European trio recognizes Palestinian state. Ireland, Norway, and Spain said they would formally recognize the state of Palestine on May 28th, drawing praise from many Arab and Muslim states. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the move announced to a reward for terror. I see both sides of this. I see both sides of everything. It's when you have a kid, toddler, and they throw a fit. If you give into their fit, you're teaching them like, oh, you throw a fit. But the problem is they were given a 2-state option and turned it down. They always turn it down because they're from the river to the sea. They want Israel wiped clean. Maybe they've been. I'm not saying it's right to beat them into submission until they accept it. So again, both sides. Maybe they're finally at a point where it's like, oh shit, we will always lose our little wars. We don't get immigration status to Egypt or Jordan. Like all the countries that say they support us don't allow us to come live there. Maybe a 2-state solution is the best thing. Finally, I have no idea. It's such a nuanced and complex problem that people like to turn into very clear, slogans. Jerry, you want to tackle this, and maybe we can solve it on this podcast?
Yeah, find peace in the Middle East, Jerry.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just been such an unstable region, and it goes back way before
before 1948.
Yeah, I mean, when in World War I, when the Ottoman Empire was defeated, as part of that war. I mean, and then with all the things that were going on in Europe at the time, with all the anti-Semitism, and Jewish people were moving there, and so at first it seemed like it was fine from what I've read, and then the more I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, how Native Americans here, eventually there's issues, and so it's a sad thing. I don't know the solution, but I think that it's one of those things where it was a terrible thing what happened, but it wasn't an overreaction, I think. And so they need.
You're talking about October 7th versus what's going on? Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a terrible thing, and I think that it's just so weird how, like, young Americans take this on as like some kind of a thing, and go overboard with it too. It doesn't help. So
yeah, Jake and I have talked about that, and especially one of my favorite things now is watching. I stumble across, well, because the algorithm feeds me. I watch one, then I get fed more TikToks where people ask students certain things like, "Oh, from the river to the sea, great. Which river and which sea? Okay, what's the number one item on Hamas's charter? Free Palestine. No, kill all Jews. Oh, like they get every single step wrong, every single question wrong, but they're out there like, free Palestine from what? Israel left 20 years ago. Palestine has been free. Hamas took it over. So what are you freeing them from? Oh, the oppression of Israel. What, you mean the wall they built between them and Palestine? What is the free? And they always, so yeah, the students are wrong. It's incredibly complex. There's I don't know what the right answer is. Jake, jump in and save both of us.
I'm going to simplify this by, well, so I know that like in the early 1900s, that's when they technically, created Tel Aviv and stuff like that. But there wasn't the huge migration until after World War II. And so here's what I think. It was a good idea having, like Jewish people have their ancestral homeland in Israel back. They just forgot to check to see if there was people living there or not. There was these people called Palestinians. They'd been living there for the past, you know what I mean? Like 1600 years or whatever. So they were pretty peeved, they were pretty peeved. Now, what I'm saying is Israel is / Palestine, the whole region, is an area about the size of Connecticut. There was a country in the Holocaust that caused a lot of the problems, you know what I mean, with the Jews. It was called like Germany, I think. It's a pretty big country geographically. Germany's got to pick an area on any of their borders. They get to pick it. We'll even let them pick it, about the size of Connecticut that they shave off. And that is either now Israel or Palestine. Now, Netanyahu and Johnny Hamas, whoever the leader of that place is, they meet, at the 50-yard line to the Gaza Strip. They flip a coin for it. We flip for this one. Whoever wins gets to either move all their people to Germany, and make that new Palestine or new Israel. And you know what? And the other gets to stay, or they get to defer. Whoever wins the coin toss can do either. And you know what? It's a better move getting to go there, man. Because
that's what I was just going to say. I was going to say I have two thoughts. One, the worst part of Germany is probably better than the fucking best part of the fucking desert with no water or tree. But
for a place called the Holy Land, not a whole lot grows there when you put it in the ground. Seems like God kind of hates the Holy Land, huh? I mean, I'm pretty sure if God, the guy who made the universe, doesn't make anything grow where you're at, it's he doesn't like that place, or he doesn't like you. Just something ain't good. For a place called the Holy Land, more shit should grow there. You know where it will grow? New Palestine or new Israel. Just send them to Germany.
All right, we are running out of time. I just had a thought. I had two thoughts. One was that. Second is, I know who can solve Israel-Palestine. I know. You find that fucking shyster, word choice done on purpose, lawyer for the insurance company who blames the 9-year-old girl for having a picture taken of herself. That guy will find which side deserves more blame and get it out there. I think we need a lawyer like that for to get into this conflict and just start laying blame wherever he wants, and then we'll all just have to listen to him. All right. I can be found at nathantimmel.com. Jake can be found at Jake Vevra on all social media. Gerry, tell everybody where to find you.
Well, I run Lake Country Comedy here in Wisconsin. So if you go to the Facebook group, Lake Country Comedy Facebook site, that's where you can find me.
And with that, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us, Gerry. And thanks, Chicago's Comedy Scene Radio Network.
Thanks for having me.
Harris, Butker, and Netanyahu should be forced to live with Britney Spears' dad.